The world was searching for an answer, a ray of hope in a hopeless world. Who can we turn to? Where is our rescue? There is someone, he's the answer. He's the light and he'll light the way. His name is Jesus, and he came to save us. He is the light, 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 light of the world, and he shines, shines, shines all over the earth, shining bright, bright, bright. He is the light of the world. He is the light, 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 light of the world, and he shines, shines, shines all over the earth, shining bright, bright, bright. He is the light of the world. The world is searching for an answer, a ray of hope in a hopeless world. Who can we turn to? Where is our rescue? There is someone, he's the answer. He's the light and he'll light the way. His name is Jesus. He came to save us. He is the light, 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 light of the world, and he shines, shines, shines all over the earth, shining bright, bright, bright. He is the light of the world. He is the light, 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 light of the world, and he shines, shines, shines all over the earth, shining bright, bright, bright. He is the light of the world. Oh, 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 He is the light, 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 light of the world, and he shines, shines, shines all over the earth, shining bright, bright, bright. He is the light of the world.
Hello everyone! I'm so glad you're all here for the first week of Mad Props. Do you know what a prop is? A prop is an object that you use to help tell a story. There's just one problem. During Mad Props, the props have gone totally, completely, 100% mad. We'll find out what kind of crazy props are in the box in just a little bit. But first, I want to ask you all a question. What is one of the scariest things you've ever done? I'll give you a minute to discuss as a group. In today's part of the big Bible story, God asks Moses to do something really scary. I mean really, really scary. I'm talking about shaking in your boots kind of scary. I'm talking about jump into your bed and pull the covers over your head kind of scary. In today's story, we're going to see how God asked Moses to stand up to the biggest, baddest bully in the whole world. Let's get the story started by playing Mad Props.
Are you ready for our first Mad Prop? Here we go. After fleeing from Pharaoh into the desert, Moses was caring for some sheep near Mount Sinai. As he approached the mountain, Moses saw a bush on fire. But strangely, the bush wasn't burning up. Moses couldn't believe what he was seeing, so he walked closer to get a better look. As Moses approached, God called to him from the middle of the burning bush. Moses replied, "Here I am." God warned Moses not to come any closer. He told Moses to take off his sandals because he was standing on holy ground. Then God said, "I have seen what Pharaoh has done to my people, and I have heard their cries for help. I want you to talk to Pharaoh and demand that he let my people go." Are you ready for prop number 2? Moses said to God, "Who am I to lead the Israelites out of Egypt? Besides, what if Pharaoh won't listen to me?" God replied back to Moses, "I will be with you. And if Pharaoh won't listen, then I'll show him signs of my power." God told Moses to take his shepherd's staff and throw it on the ground. As soon as the shepherd's staff hit the ground, it started to slither and hiss. Moses jumped back in disbelief. God had turned the staff into a snake. And when Pharaoh sees my power, God said, he will let my people go. Still, Moses struggled to find the courage he needed, so he pleaded with God to send someone else. God became upset with Moses and said, "All right then, talk to your brother Aaron. He can do the talking instead." Let's pull out prop number 3. So Moses and his brother Aaron gathered all their belongings and traveled back to Egypt. God was with them the whole time. And when they arrived, Aaron and Moses confronted Pharaoh. They told him, "The Lord, the God of Israel says, 'Let my people go.'" Pharaoh said, "I don't believe in this God of yours, so why should I listen to him?" And instead of letting the Israelites go, Pharaoh made life a lot worse for them. The next day, Pharaoh sent a message to the Egyptian slave drivers. "Do not supply any more straw for making bricks. Make the people get it themselves." Now the Israelites had to do twice as much work. And the slave drivers beat them because they couldn't make the bricks fast enough. It's time to pull out prop number 4. So Aaron and Moses went back to Pharaoh for a second time to demand that he let their people go. Pharaoh said, "If it really is your God who says this, then show me a miracle." Just as God had instructed, Aaron threw his staff on the ground, and just like before, the staff began to slither and hiss, and it turned into a snake right before their eyes. Pharaoh seemed unimpressed, though. He called in his own magicians, who threw down their staffs. And just like Aaron's staff, the magician's staffs began to slither and hiss. Their staffs turned into snakes too. But God was with Aaron and Moses, and he would not be outdone. Aaron's staff slithered over to the other two staffs, and with a quick strike, it attacked and swallowed up the magician's staff. But even after that, Pharaoh still refused to let the Israelites go.
During our story, did you notice how Moses struggled to find the courage to do what God told him? Why do you think that is? Well, the truth is we don't really know. It seems like Moses just didn't have the courage to do what God asked. So he had his brother Aaron do it instead. So what about you? Do you have the courage to do what God asks? I know he's not asking you to confront the Pharaoh, but he still asks you to do some pretty tough things. In fact, I'd love to hear your ideas. What are some tough things you think God asks us to do today? I'll give you a minute to talk about it. But here's the great thing. We don't have to do it alone. When Moses was afraid to confront Pharaoh, God told him, "I will be with you." And it's the same for us. God is with us all the time, wherever we go. In fact, that's exactly what the Bible tells us. Take some time to look it up for yourself. Joshua 1 verse 9. Here is what I'm commanding you to do. Be strong and brave. Do not be terrified. Do not lose hope. I am the Lord your God. I will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1 verse 9. Isn't that amazing? God is with us everywhere. There isn't a moment that goes by that he isn't right there by our side. Sometimes God gives us some pretty hard things to do, but he's right there with us the whole time. If we can lean on God, he can help us get around our fears. He can help us get around the feeling that we're not good enough. And sometimes he will even completely remove a problem out of our way. Whenever God asks us to do something, we can have courage because he's always right there to help us along the way. Unfortunately, that's something Moses forgot, but we don't have to make that same mistake. If God is asking you to do something that's kind of tough, stop and talk to him about it. He can give you the courage. Let's take a minute to pray. God, thank you so much for this story, for the reminder that you are with us wherever we go. Please help us remember that when you ask us to do tough things, whether it's doing the right thing when everyone's doing the wrong thing, or whether it's talking about you to someone who doesn't know you and we feel scared about that. Help us to remember that you're always right there by our side helping us. Amen. Well, it was great having you here for our first week of Mad Props. We'll see you next week.